On today's episode of Oh No, I'm Getting What I Voted For.
Growers say they feel betrayed after the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. Argentina then immediately dropped their soy tariffs to China, undercutting U.S. farmers.
And as you just saw in that clip, soybean farmers are upset at Orange Man because he gave $20 billion to the country of Argentina to help them out. Which in my opinion sounds very America first, insert sarcasm. Argentina said, "Don't cry for me and thank you for the $20 billion. Got rid of tariffs for China and sold them soybeans. And let's see what these farmers are doing to try to survive the situation that they voted for.
With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment. Joel's Tractors in Strawberry Point, Iowa saw a 30% jump in farm machinery up for auction this year.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, that is actually one way to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And what doesn't help the farmer situation is that when they do need machinery, those items are tariffed heavily because of the steel tariffs. The next person that I'm gonna show you actually worked for John Deere, the tractor machinery company, in which they're estimating that steel tariffs are gonna cost their company $600 million, in which it resulted in layoffs for them.
It's like a kick to the gut, right? When you're getting laid off after you've given 20 plus years to the company.
When you think about these tariffs and the ripple effects that they've had, do you think it's worth it?
You know, you hope that possibly in the long term, they would be helpful. Currently here in the short term, no, it's really killing us.
Wait a minute, wasn't it you guys that were chanting the slogan short-term pain for long-term gains? Because it sounds like that short-term pain is not fun for you guys as well.
Hey everybody, well there it is folks. Argentina is selling all of their soybeans to China now because of the tariffs that Trump has initiated against other countries. And it's not that Trump has initiated tariffs on soybeans to China or anything like that. It's just China's like, we don't need you. So there it is, $47 billion that would have gone to the 500,000 American soybean farmers are now going to Argentina. Now, American farmers, almost 80% of them voted for Trump. So if you have 500,000 soybean farmers, that means 400,000 of them who are now on the verge of going bankrupt voted for Trump. And I saw in another TikTok video, I'm not prepared to talk about it, but this guy was really good. I really should give him a shout out. I will in the notes or something. He came across my feed that there's this company called Acre Trader. And guess what they specialize in? They specialize in buying up distressed farms. Guess who's a major shareholder in that? J.D. Vance. So, while America is giving $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their government, American farmers are out of almost $50 billion. Not a single Chinese order has been cut on soybean farms this year. It's absolutely incredible. And Trump is destroying the American farmer. It's just crazy.
So let me get this straight. Trump runs his mouth as usual, pisses off China. China then goes and buys soybeans from Argentina instead of us. Our farmers get screwed. Their profits vanish, and now they're begging for a bailout just to survive. Am I getting that right? And what does the American first president do? Does he send the money to help the farmers? Fuck no. He ships $20 billion to Argentina instead, while our farmers struggle to survive. Can somebody please tell me how this is America first? Because it seems to me like America last, and everybody but his diehard cultists can see it.
I want you to remember this, that Trump is bailing out Argentina, and they are going to sell the same stuff that we would have sold to China.
Family, Trump never ceases to fail white farmers after they voted him as the president of the United States of America. Family, once again, Donald Trump has failed people who voted for him, white farmers. Family, these white farmers are now losing the soybeans market to China because of the high tariffs. But do you know what Donald Trump decided to do? In the process, he decided to give Argentina a 20 billion loan. And once Argentina got that loan, what they did with part of the money was ensure that they reduced the tariff with China. And that would mean that now Argentina is selling soybeans, to China, the very same market that American white farmers depend on. Family right there is a huge FAFO moment, and many white farmers are now regretting voting for Donald Trump. They are regretting for choosing him even after he said he will push mass deportations. Right now they are regretting so much. So family, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end for you to get to understand about these facts. Family, in a special way, I'd like to thank all my subscribers who are supporting this channel by buying me a coffee. The link is on the description box down below. I do not take your support for granted. Let's watch the video, then we'll be right back.
Hey Mainers, President Trump is giving a $20 billion bailout to Argentina. There's at least 3 reasons this is kind of a staggering piece of news, and the third is the toughest to swallow. First, because a $20 billion bailout of another country is the opposite of President Trump's America First philosophy. Second, because President Trump's Treasury Secretary has said openly that the bailout is because Argentina's president, who is an ally of President Trump's, needs a, quote, bridge to the election. His economy is falling apart and his party was just crushed in local elections, so the president's own re-election prospects are in trouble. So President Trump is openly giving Argentina $20 billion of our tax dollars to help his friend win re-election. And somehow that's not even the most startling part of this. The third reason this is staggering is because President Trump's trade war has resulted in China no longer purchasing American soybeans. Literally. China hasn't purchased a single soybean from the U.S. in the last 2 months and has not placed a single order for U.S. soybeans for the coming peak harvest season. Of the $24.5 billion worth of soybeans that the U.S. farmers exported last year, China bought more than half of them, $12.5 billion worth. This is killing U.S. farms, and farmers are feeling panicked and betrayed.
Mr. Trump, you looked at me, sir, and you said, I love you. Mr. Trump, I need to see the fruit of your love.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do.
But guess who is selling soybeans to China? Argentina. The 3 biggest soybean producers in the world are the US, Brazil, and Argentina. And last week, Argentina's president, President Trump's ally, slashed its export tax on soybeans to 0. He's taking advantage of China shutting out American soybeans and making it easier for Argentinian farmers to sell their soybeans to China while American farmers are getting screwed. It is indisputable. President Trump is propping up a guy who is helping crush American soybean farmers.
I've said it before, but it's worth saying louder this time. Trump's most loyal supporters, America's farmers, are getting stabbed in the back in broad daylight. And the latest insult isn't just a paper cut, it's a gut punch. While U.S. farmers are drowning in mountains of unsold soybeans, Trump is opening the floodgates for Argentina to dump cheap exports into the very markets American growers just lost. Call it poetic justice, call it FAFO, but the betrayal couldn't be clearer.
Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own.
That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer?
I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us.
It's going to be tough to get some of that business back that we're losing. Retaliatory tariffs has caused us to be less competitive in the global marketplace.
I thought you guys didn't want the United States to give money to Ukraine because that's not our war. You guys were okay with the U.S. giving money to Israel so that they can commit it. But what's going on now? Do we have to bail out Argentina, a country that has absolutely nothing to do with us? Is Donald Trump putting America first when he's gonna give up to $20 billion to Argentina? Donald Trump is defunding programs that Americans need, but there is money to send to Argentina? Did I get that right? Is that America first? I'm a little confused.
Soybeans may not sound glamorous, but they're the beating heart of U.S. agriculture. Nearly $25 billion in exports last year, with China alone buying over half, about $12.6 billion. That cash flow is what keeps the heartland alive, from Illinois silos to Iowa fields to Nebraska's small towns. And then came Trump's trade war tantrums. Overnight, America's largest customer, China, didn't just cut back, didn't just slow down. They slammed the door shut.
Well, folks, there's a storm brewing in soybeans. China just bought a big batch from Argentina, not from the USA. And let me tell you, tariffs we slapped on years ago and during this new administration are the reason why. Here's what happened, according to Reuters. Argentina suspended export taxes, making their soybeans cheaper on the international market. And China swooped in and booked at least 10 cargoes, each around 65,000 tons. Meanwhile, not a single cargo from the brand new American harvest. We got cut out of the deal completely. Now, this isn't just about Argentina dropping taxes. This story starts years ago and continues through this new Trump administration with the U.S.-China trade war. When America slapped tariffs on Chinese goods, Beijing hit back with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans. This made our beans more expensive for Chinese buyers. Now, here's the thing. Once China got burned, they learned not to rely so heavily on American soy. They started building long-term supply from South America, Brazil first, and now Argentina. So every time tariffs went up, U.S. farmers paid the price, not the folks in Washington, D.C. We lost trust and we lost market share. So now, with Argentina's beans cheaper, China doesn't even look at us. That means less demand for American soybeans. Less demand means lower prices. For farmers already fighting high fuel and fertilizer costs, this isn't just a headache, it's the difference between profit and loss. And this isn't a one-off. If China keeps buying from Argentina, it cements a pattern. America gets sidelined while South America gets stronger. And markets don't forgive lost trust. Once a buyer moves on, they don't always come back. That's the real danger of these tariffs wars. You win the headline fight, but you lose the customer forever. Tariffs sound tough in D.C., but out here where we raise these crops, they land like a hammer. Farmers didn't pick the trade fight with China, but they've been paying for it every harvest. We produce the best beans in the world, but when tariffs make our crop more expensive, China shops elsewhere. And now, Argentina, with this tax break, slips right in. So what's the fix? We need smarter trade deals, not headline tariff wars. We need long-term partnerships with buyers, not quick political stunts. And we need to keep American farmers competitive by making sure we're not priced out with our own policies. Folks, these tariffs were sold as tough talk, but in the end, they opened the door for Argentina and Brazil to take our markets. And that's bad news for every American. If you care about keeping American farms alive, if you care about protecting the U.S. food supply and keeping food inexpensive for Americans, share this video with your neighbors and tell them these trade wars are costing us. And it's not just the farmers in rural America that are paying the price. Pretty soon, it's going to be all of us.
Meanwhile, American farmers stare at silos bursting with unsold beans and prices that have collapsed to 5-year lows. If Trump were trying to bankrupt Illinois farmers on purpose, what would he be doing differently? And here's where the FAFO energy really kicks in. These are the same farmers who cheered when Trump promised to deport immigrant workers and slap tariffs on foreign goods. Now, their fields are empty of labor, their markets are gone, and their bills are piling up. It's like watching someone set their own barn on fire because the arsonist told them it would keep them warm. Spoiler, it didn't. The fallout isn't abstract. American Soybean Association President Caleb Ragland called the situation overwhelming. Harvest is underway, prices are falling, and instead of seeing headlines about trade deals, farmers are reading about Trump pumping billions into Argentina while their own product rots.
Hey, MAGA, you remember all that winning you were supposed to do under Donald Trump? And now with all the tariffs and his crappy economic policies, you guys are losing your health care, losing your Social Security, losing your benefits, losing your jobs. Well, now you're losing your farms. And the people in Arkansas can tell you, they can't even break even, and most of them are going out of business. They're not being farmers anymore. But instead of a bailout, Trump is like, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Because he and J.D. Vance actually have stock in companies that are buying up that lost farmland when farmers go broke. But you know how you guys always love to claim that Trump loves the farmers and he loves you guys so much, even though in public at rallies he has literally stated to your face that he doesn't care about you? Well, let me tell you something. The biggest crop that we export is soybeans. And now that China's not really buying our soybeans anymore because Trump jacked up tariffs on them, China's now buying them from Argentina, who has since dropped their tariffs on them. So now farmers across the country are being left holding the bag of soybeans that are practically worthless.
You know, it's now, I'd say 10 months, whatever people are facing, you know, in America is crazy. Family, when we want to talk about the high cost of living, very, very crazy. The cost of common commodities like groceries are very, very expensive. You're seeing white farmers, we saw Arkansas farmers complain, saying they need support, you know, from the government. They wanted federal funding, you know, because they were going bankrupt. They were afraid they are losing their farms. And many of them were begging Donald Trump, reminding him that they were amongst the higher percentage of white Americans who chose to vote him as the president of the United States of America. But funnily enough, Donald Trump chose instead, you know, to take his money instead of supporting his own farmers, instead of trying to reduce tariffs to China, you know, because most of these white farmers in America have not been able to sell their soybeans for like 3 months right now because of the very high tariffs that his government has pushed. Family, Donald Trump has instead taken $20 billion, you know, and given Argentina as a loan, while his people, his own people who voted for him, white farmers, you know, are not getting market for their soybeans. Family, imagine trading your own people who actually voted for you, you know, to another friend of another country, because insiders say that Donald Trump gave Argentina the $20 billion because the Argentine president is actually a very, very close ally to Donald Trump. And some other sources also say that he wants money, you know, to push election for the re-election of his office. Family, you'd wonder, what are the priorities of Donald Trump as the president of the United States of America? Because many sectors are failing. If he cannot be able to support his own farmers, he's choosing to support a friend who's a president in another country. You wonder what is happening. Family, right now, Argentina has tapped on a market, you know, that was initially American. Soybeans were actually exported in large numbers, you know, to China. But right now, what has Argentina done instead? You know, they've tried to reduce their tariffs, their soybeans tariff, you know, to China. With the very same money the president of the United States of America has given them. So they've done immediately, they've gotten this money, they've reduced the tariff, you know, of soybeans, and now they are selling soybeans in crazy amounts to China because America cannot be able to supply to China because of the high tariffs. Family, that right there is actually betrayal to me. Donald Trump has betrayed his own farmers, people who pushed to vote for him, white people who sacrificed, you know, for him to be the president. Most of these people did not care about Trump's agendas. They were looking at whiteness. They did not want a black woman in office. They wanted a white person in office so that they may continue enjoying their white privileges. What privileges are they enjoying right now? Close to nothing, you know, because of what Donald Trump is doing today. in America. Family, imagine the losses these farmers are getting. Imagine the loans they have just to be able to sustain their farms. Most of them are actually selling their farm machineries to be able to sustain their farms. Most of their employees, cannot be able to work in the farms because there are no any profits right now. Their markets are blocked. Well, Donald Trump is pushing, other markets like that of Argentina. The Argentina dropped their soybeans tariff to China, undercutting the US farmers. There's no way you'd compete with somebody who's already reduced their prices. China would of course go for a market that is better. In business, you'll always go for a better deal, and that is what is happening. Argentina has just grabbed an opportunity that American white farmers have been enjoying for so long. Soybean farmers are now upset at the orange man. White farmers are struggling and facing bankruptcy. Some farmers are even selling their farm equipment. The 20 billion bailout to Argentina is opposite to Trump's America First philosophy. Trump has always said America first. Before anything, America first. But why did he put Argentina first? Why did he put his own friend first? Why did he give out money when America actually needed the same so much? How do you bail out people while your country is struggling? How do you bail out somebody else as a man and your family is lacking commodities, the very basic things in the house? How do you pay for another child's school fees, while your own daughter or son is not going to school because of the very same reason? That right there is top tier, betrayal that has been portrayed by President Donald Trump. The reason they gave Argentina money is because Argentinian president is Trump's close ally to help him with re-election. China hasn't bought soybeans from the USA for at least 3 months. Because of the tariffs, Trump is bailing out others instead. That just shows you how he has a lot of misplaced priorities. The orange man has not done any good in America since he took over office 10 months ago. Family, this is so sad that some people can be able to face whatever they are facing. Well, Donald Trump is supporting others. Many folks are laughing at white farmers because they actually voted for Donald Trump. They voted for foreign bailouts that Donald Trump is doing today. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this episode. Like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'd be very grateful. Lastly, I'd really appreciate if you all took your time to subscribe to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers, fam, and we just hit 30,000 subs. We are 20,000 less. Let's push these and ensure that we are able to achieve this milestone. Guys, thank you so much and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.